Your small apartment isn't actually small. It's just unorganized in a way that makes it feel smaller than it actually is. And in Japan, a country where entire families have lived comfortably in spaces smaller than a single American bedroom for generations, small isn't treated as a problem to apologize for or a temporary situation to escape as soon as your budget allows. It's treated as a design constraint to solve elegantly, the same way an engineer treats a tight budget or a strict deadline, as a puzzle with a good answer, not a tragedy. Today, I'll walk you through 15 Japanese home organization ideas that instantly fix small spaces. Ideas that turn cramped rooms into calm, functional ones without knocking down a single wall, hiring a contractor, or spending thousands of dollars on a renovation you can't actually afford right now. Stay until number 15, because at the very end I'll give you a simple 2-question test that tells you exactly which idea to start with tonight, not next month, tonight. Fair warning, number 4 completely changes how a room feels the moment you try it, and number 11 is something almost every small apartment in the West gets backwards without ever realizing it. Let's get into it. We'll start with the biggest wins, the ideas that transform an entire room's feeling of space before we even get into the smaller details. The kind of changes that make a guest walk in and ask what you did differently, even though you didn't add a single new item to the room. Number 1, the Oshiire, a deep, floor-to-ceiling closet with sliding doors, originally built to store futons during the day so the same room could serve as a bedroom at night and a living space by morning. Unlike a Western closet, an Oshiire isn't just a place to shove things out of sight. It's built with the assumption that a room needs to change jobs throughout the day, and storage should make that transformation effortless rather than exhausting. The depth of an Oshiire also matters. It's typically deep enough to hold bulky items like folded bedding in 2 stacked sections, upper and lower, which means it stores far more per square foot of wall than a shallow Western closet ever could. The shift, if you don't have a built-in closet like this, recreate the principle with one tall cabinet that has sliding or bifold doors instead of swinging ones, and use it specifically to store anything that only needs to appear part of the day: guest bedding, seasonal items, a fold-away table. Number 2, the Futon and fold system, treating your bed as something that packs away rather than something that permanently occupies floor space around the clock. Traditional futons are lightweight enough to fold into thirds and store in a closet each morning, which means a single small room can function as a bedroom at night and a completely open living space during the day. Hosting guests, laying out a table, or simply giving you back the square footage a permanent bed frame quietly steals every single hour of the day, whether you're using it or not. This is the single biggest space illusion trick in this entire list, because it doesn't just organize a room, it doubles its function without adding a single square foot to the apartment itself. The shift, even if you're not switching to a full futon, consider a fold-away or Murphy-style bed for a studio space. The goal isn't authenticity for its own sake. It's reclaiming floor space for half of every day. Number 3, Fusuma and shoji sliding panels instead of swinging doors. Fusuma are opaque sliding panels and shoji are the translucent paper-covered version, and both share one enormous advantage over a standard hinged door: they require zero clearance space to open. A swinging door needs an entire empty arc of floor in front of it just to function, space that's now unusable for furniture or storage for as long as you own that door. A sliding panel needs nothing but the width of the doorway itself. No arc, no clearance, no dead zone quietly reserved for a door that's closed 90% of the day anyway. These panels also double as room dividers, letting a single space split into 2 smaller ones when privacy is needed, then open right back up into one larger room the moment it isn't. The shift, if you're renovating or even just adding a room divider, choose a sliding track system over a hinged door wherever you can. You'll reclaim a surprising amount of usable floor space in a room that felt fixed in size before. Number 4, and this is the one that completely changes how a room feels the moment you try it: tall, narrow furniture instead of short, wide furniture. A short, wide dresser or bookshelf eats up valuable floor space, while leaving the entire upper half of the wall empty and unused, dead air that you're paying rent on, but getting nothing from. A A tall, narrow piece, like a traditional kiri tansu chest made from lightweight paulownia wood, does the opposite. It uses vertical wall space that was doing nothing for you anyway, while freeing up the floor beneath and around it for movement, a chair, or simply open space that makes the whole room breathe. Stack 2 smaller tansu-style units on top of each other, and you've effectively created a custom storage wall using a fraction of the footprint a single wide dresser would need. The shift, next time you're choosing storage furniture, measure the height of your ceiling first, not the width of your wall, and pick the tallest, narrowest option that fits the job. We've covered the big furniture shifts. Now let's move into the storage spaces most people completely overlook, the ones hiding in plain sight in nearly every home, small apartment or not, simply because nobody ever stopped to ask what they could be doing instead of nothing. Number 5, hidden storage beneath a raised floor section. Many traditional Japanese homes are built slightly elevated off the ground, and some designs take advantage of that gap by building storage compartments directly beneath sections of the floor, accessible through a hatch or a lifted panel, turning literal dead air under the house into functional square footage nobody has to look at day to day. It sounds elaborate for a modern apartment, but the underlying principle scales down easily to almost any home. The shift, if you have a platform bed, a raised reading nook, or even just a step up between rooms, check whether there's dead space underneath that could hold a drawer, bin, or lift-up panel. Dead vertical gaps like this exist in more homes than people ever bother to check. A single step between a living room and a slightly raised dining area, for example, is often deep enough to hide a drawer running its entire length, space that's been sitting empty since the day the building was constructed. Number 6, a platform bed with built-in drawers underneath instead of a bed frame that wastes the space below it entirely. This is one of the simplest swaps on this entire list, because most beds already have several cubic feet of completely empty, completely wasted space underneath them, space that typically just collects dust or becomes an awkward catch, all for things shoved out of sight and forgotten about for years at a time. That's often the single largest unused storage volume in an entire small bedroom, hiding in plain sight under something you look at every single night. The shift, if replacing your bed frame isn't an option right now, add slim rolling bins underneath instead, sorted and labeled, so that unused gap finally does a job instead of quietly collecting dust bunnies, out-of-season clothes, spare linens, even a box of holiday decorations you'd otherwise be paying to store in a separate unit somewhere across town. Number 7, multifunctional furniture that does at least 2 jobs instead of 1. A storage ottoman that works as seating, a footrest, and hidden blanket storage all at once. A sofa that folds out into a guest bed for when someone stays over. A small table that folds flat against the wall when it's not in use, disappearing entirely instead of permanently blocking a corner of the room. The core question behind every piece of furniture in a genuinely small space is simple. How many jobs can this single object actually do for me? Because in a small home, every object that only does one thing is quietly competing with objects that could be doing 3. The shift, before buying any new furniture, ask that exact question out loud if you have to. And if the honest answer is only one job, keep looking, even if the single-purpose piece looks nicer in the store. A beautiful chair that only seats one person is a worse investment in a small apartment than a plain ottoman that seats, stores, and props your feet up all at once. Number 8, uniform, labeled storage bins instead of a random mix of boxes, bags, and containers. In Japan, affordable stores selling simple, stackable plastic bins with handles are a staple of small space organizing, precisely because uniform containers stack cleanly, share the same footprint, and line up in neat rows, while a random collection of shapes and sizes creates visual chaos even when everything inside is technically organized and every item has a home. Your eye reads the mismatch as clutter before your brain even registers what's inside each container. The shift, pick one bin's size and shape, and standardize your storage around it wherever you can, drawers, closets, under the bed. Uniformity does more visual work than people expect, often more than actually removing items does. Take a breath here for a second, because if you've been keeping count, that's the first 8 ideas down, and notice something about all of them. Not one required you to throw away anything you actually love or need. Every single shift so far has been about where things live and how they're contained, not about forcing yourself into a painful minimalism you don't actually want. The next 7 push a little further into the spaces and habits people usually never think to question at all. Now, the next few ideas are about spaces you walk past every single day without ever considering them storage at all. Spaces so ordinary they've become invisible to you. Number 9, pull-down or pull-out cabinets that use the full height of your kitchen walls, not just the reachable middle section most people default to. Many Japanese kitchens make full use of vertical wall space with cabinets that extend to the ceiling, often with pull-down mechanisms that bring the top shelf within easy reach instead of leaving it permanently wasted above head height, gathering dust as unusable dead storage that nobody ever climbs a step stool to access. The shift: look at your own kitchen and count how much wall space above your existing cabinets is sitting completely empty right now. Then add even a simple closed shelf up there for rarely used items, appliances, or bulk goods you only need once a month. Number 10, back-of-door organizers for the items that usually end up as floor clutter. Cleaning supplies, umbrellas, slippers, and shoes are exactly the kind of items that pile up on the actual floor of a small entryway or closet, taking up prime real estate simply because nobody ever assigned them a proper vertical spot to belong to. A simple organizer mounted on the back of any door instantly creates storage that didn't exist a moment earlier, without touching a single inch of floor space, using a surface that was otherwise doing absolutely nothing but swinging open and shut. The shift: pick the one door in your home currently doing nothing but opening and closing, and give its back surface an actual job. A bathroom door for cleaning supplies, a coat closet door for scarves and gloves, a pantry door for spice jars you never had a shelf for. Number 11, and this is the one almost every small apartment in the West gets backwards, treating the entryway as a landing zone for chaos instead of a properly designed transition space between the outside world and your home. In Japan, the Genkan, the entryway just inside the front door, is a distinct, deliberately organized zone, built specifically to handle shoes, umbrellas, and outdoor items before they ever make it into the living space itself. A physical boundary that also functions as a mental one. Most Western apartments treat the area just inside the door as an afterthought at best. Shoes wherever they happen to land, bags dropped on the nearest flat surface, mail piling up on a side table that was never actually meant to hold it. That small, chaotic zone then becomes the very first thing you see walking in exhausted after a long day, and the very last thing you see walking out. The shift: designate one small, specific zone near your door, a low shelf, a shoe rack, a single hook rail, and treat crossing that line without dealing with your things as simply not allowed. The same way you wouldn't casually walk straight into your own kitchen wearing muddy outdoor shoes. We're moving into the final stretch now. The ideas that aren't really about furniture or storage bins at all. They're about how a small space is allowed to feel, and how much of that feeling is quietly under your control already. Number 12, a tension rod paired with stacked boxes underneath it, turning any awkward, deep closet into 2 usable zones instead of one wasted one. A single hanging rod at full height often leaves a large gap of unused space below hanging clothes, space that's just tall enough to be genuinely annoying and just short enough to feel completely unusable for anything meaningful. A second, lower tension rod, or simply a few stacked bins in that exact gap, reclaims that dead zone entirely, without a single tool, screw, or piece of hardware needed. The shift: measure the space below your hanging clothes right now, tonight, and if there's more than a foot of unused height sitting there doing nothing, it's asking for a second layer. Whether that's a rod for shorter items like shirts and folded pants, or simply a stack of matching bins holding shoes, scarves, or off-season accessories. Number 13, a consistent color and material palette instead of a mismatched collection of furniture, boxes, and finishes fighting each other for attention. Design approaches to small Japanese homes consistently favor horizontal lines, light wall colors, and repeated materials, like matching wood tones paired with white, because visual consistency makes a room read as calmer and larger than it physically is, while a chaotic mix of colors and finishes makes even a genuinely spacious room feel visually cramped, busy, and mentally tiring to simply sit in. Your eye has to work to sort through mismatched clutter of color, the same way it has to work through mismatched clutter of objects. The shift: before adding any new storage piece to a room, check it against the room's existing palette first. Matching finishes do more to make a small space feel bigger than any actual decluttering ever will on its own. Number 14. Low-profile furniture and ceiling-hugging light fixtures in rooms with modest ceiling height. Many Japanese apartments work with lower ceilings than typical Western homes, and the design response isn't to fight that limitation with tall statement pieces. It's to work with it deliberately. Low sofas that keep the eye traveling across the room instead of stopping short. Light fixtures that sit close to the ceiling instead of hanging down into the usable air of the room. And tall furniture reserved only for spots where it genuinely won't block a window or doorway. A room with a low ceiling and tall furniture everywhere feels like it's pressing down on you, while the exact same room with low, horizontal furniture feels open, even though the ceiling height never changed at all. The shift: if a room already feels a little tight overhead, resist the urge to add a tall floor lamp or a hanging pendant light in the center of it. Choose something that keeps your eye moving horizontally instead of stopping it dead in its tracks. A wall sconce, a slim floor lamp tucked in a corner, or simple recessed lighting that never intrudes into the room's usable height at all. Number 15, and the last one, treating decluttering as a repeated practice rather than a one-time weekend event you do once and never revisit. Every single idea on this list eventually fails in a home where new items keep entering faster than old ones ever leave. No amount of clever storage outruns accumulation forever. The Japanese principle of danshari, refusing to keep what doesn't serve you, isn't a single weekend project you check off a list. It's a recurring habit, a regular, honest check on what's quietly accumulated since the last time you actually looked with fresh eyes. Skip this one habit and all 14 ideas before it slowly get buried again over the following year, the same way they got buried the first time. The shift: pick one recurring moment, the first of every month, the night before laundry day, whatever fits naturally into your life, and use it as a standing appointment to ask what's crept back into your space that doesn't need to be there anymore. So that's all 15. Now, exactly as promised, here's the 2-question test that tells you exactly which idea to start with tonight, so you're not left wondering where to begin out of 15 different options. Question 1, the floor test. Walk through your home and count how many surfaces near the ground, floor space, low shelves, the area under furniture, are sitting completely unused right now, doing nothing but collecting dust or catching whatever gets dropped on them. If the answer is more than 2 or 3 spots, start with the ideas about vertical storage and tall, narrow furniture, numbers 4, 6, and 9, because your space is losing the most ground at floor level, and that's exactly where the biggest wins are hiding. Question 2, the entry test. Stand at your own front door and honestly look at the first 5 feet of your home, not the rest of the apartment, just that entry zone. If that space is currently chaotic, shoes everywhere, bags dropped randomly, mail piling up on a surface never meant for it, start with number 11 first, because that zone sets the emotional tone for every single room behind it. And fixing it often makes the rest of the apartment feel calmer even before you've touched anything else in the house. That's it, 2 honest questions, and you'll know exactly where to begin tonight, instead of feeling overwhelmed by 15 ideas at once. Here's everything in one line. A small space doesn't need more square footage to feel calm. It needs every inch it already has to be doing an actual job instead of sitting idle. No swinging doors eating up floor space, no short, wide furniture ignoring your walls, no entryway left to chaos. Just a home where every surface, every closet, and every gap between the floor and the ceiling has been asked to earn its keep. Think about how much of your